afternoon, South Fulton's mayor no longer has access to City Hall. This comes as city council members voted to strip a lot of Mayor Khalid Kamal's power amidst allegations that he was misusing taxpayer money. Atlanta News First Sarah Hammond is live for us at South Fulton City Hall with everything we know about this. Good afternoon to you.
That's right. So the mayor here in South Fulton, who goes by Mayor Kobe, had until the end of the day yesterday to come here to City Hall and return his city devices and some of the things he purchased with city funds. And now he's not allowed back inside of the building.
I do think that there is a lot of political posturing.
South Fulton Mayor Khalid Kamal no longer has access to city buildings or his mayoral budget, and city employees are not allowed to interact with him. That vote comes after City Council called for an audit on alleged misspending of taxpayer dollars, including on a trip to Ghana, a pool table in his office, and a media room. South Fulton City Council members unanimously voted to strip most of the mayor's powers during a Tuesday night City Council meeting.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Is anyone opposed?
During a January meeting, once that audit was announced, Kamal said he was disappointed in the, quote, political posturing. But Councilwoman Helen Willis said this in response.
We're not tearing you down. You took your black behind over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody.
In response to the accusations, the mayor created a website outlining his travel expenses and why he traveled to Ghana and other countries. He says he has been, quote, promoting South Fulton as an international hub for black business. Documents shared with Atlanta News First showed thousands of dollars being spent on airline travel and other online purchases. But until the audit and city investigation are complete, the mayor will not be allowed inside the doors of City Hall or any other city building.
Through the unauthorized use of resources and abuse of his position, refusing to follow policy, and engaging in conduct unbecoming to a member, which constitutes a breach of public trust.
Now, it is important to note here that according to the city charter, South Fulton is considered a weak mayor form of government, meaning the mayor already has limited authority. And we've reached out to the mayor multiple times since this decision was made, and we have not yet heard back. Live in South Fulton, Sarah Hammond for Atlanta News First.